Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all enjoying your long quarantine and being productive. It's been a bit since I posted a lore video, and I think this one will be a great video, and I'll also be quite informative, and that you'll all enjoy it. As you've seen in the majority of my videos so far, I've been doing a bit of a mini-series on some of the groups in Hallownest that played roles in the history and events of Hallownest's history, and are crucial and interesting to understand. Today, we will be talking about the Mosskin tribe of Hallownest and touching on the story of Un. I have no clue if this will be brought up in Silksong at all, so in the future there could possibly even be a part 2 for this. Alright, the lands of Hallownest before the arrival of the Pale King were filled with many tribes full of interesting bugs and strange societies. And some of these tribes even had higher beings with them, which is incredibly evident in 2 of Hallownest's groups. The bugs of the Mosskin tribe were born a long time ago out of the dream of a higher being, similar to the Radiance's moth tribe. The dream of Un, a giant slug-like creature who is one of the higher beings we encounter in Hollow Knight. Un dreamt the entirety of Greenpath into existence, including the non-sentient vegetation and plants we see, and put a piece of her soul and mind into these bugs so that they could live and think. These bugs are deeply evolved and treat each bugs in the caverns with reverence, as they all possess the mind of a higher being. And the health and well-being of the civilization is based off of the shape of the vegetation flooding the caverns. Un created these bugs, and after their creation, they ended up worshipping her, rightly so, as a godlike figure. Her green children inhabited this new land created for them, and they still do to this current Hallownest today, waiting for Un to call to them. Later, we can speculate a bit on what this call means, and you can comment if you have any ideas, but for right now, move on to some more of the backstory and history of the Mosskin and Un. These bugs were highly sentient, with enough intelligence to do quite complex tasks, such as recording history and building shrines and idols to worship Un, who they likely rarely saw. This temple was an important place of worship for these bugs and was a crucial part of their civilization. They also had a sort of job system, where some of the bugs would perform more difficult tasks, such as guarding locations, and others would perform other tasks. These bugs were a peaceful tribe, and they tried not to resort to aggression at any times. Now, let's talk about the physical health of these bugs. You may be wondering, what the heck am I talking about right now? But please, don't click off right now. I'll explain it. You see, like I said earlier, the bugs of Greenpath draw their life from the plants and vegetation surrounding them. But as time went on, the leaves of these bugs started to wilt. Now, you may ask, why did the leaves start to wilt? This must mean that whatever was sustaining the vegetation in the caverns, hence keeping the bugs healthy, must be weakening and losing their grip a bit. And this thing sustaining the bugs in Un and the strength of her dream that created all of the Mosskin. The Mosskin are growing tired and becoming weakened in Un's absence from nurturing the plant life. In Greenpath lore tablets, it says that Un is hiding and her power is waning. But why is that? Well, this could be self-imposed after the rise of the Radiance, or possibly age. But I think it's likely that somehow the Radiance's mind control over the Mosskin bugs, hence affecting their physical health, could be affecting her, and making her lose grips on the bugs that she formerly ruled over. Since they are so dependent on the physical health of the bugs, if the Radiance's mind plague affected these guys and made them lose some individuality, it could hurt Un's mind too, since all these bugs possess part of her mind. These bugs, however, still maintain a bit of their self, though, as they await the call of Un and believe that everything they do for her helps her out, even though it's for the Radiance. The bugs of the Greenkin have quite a complex and fun history, which we'll cover now. Like I said, the bugs of the Mosskin tribe were born out of the dream of Un, in the region we know as Greenpath. Team Cherry got clever with the naming there. This once great temple the Mosskin used to worship their goddess Un at has fallen, like the rest of the kingdom, into a state of disrepair, with cracks through the benches and a dilapidated-looking temple structure. Now, in their time of high power and influence, where the civilization of the Mosskin was thriving, Un and her vast kingdom of bushes and such ruled over an immense chunk of land that in the actual game makes up a chunk of the awesome gameplay. These regions included modern Greenpath, Queen's Gardens, the Fungal Wastes, and also likely Fog Canyon, due to the similarities between flora fauna in the region and music. These regions contained the Road of Un, which, without any real explanation, I would just say is parts of the civilization and the path to the very fancy chapel we talked about earlier. This and the Call of Un both sound very fancy, but we don't really know what they are, but I feel they could easily be related and part of some strange plan. Talk about that later. Anyways, eventually, once the Pale King rose to power over the lands, it appears that he and Un made an agreement of sorts for territory, though it is not really clear what Un got out of this deal. Maybe the Pale King was an evil dictator and Un was lucky to get out with her life. But we don't know. And the Mosskin never show any thoughts of aggression, and they simply seek to protect the path. So maybe Un got something out of it that we don't know about. The Pale King was able to build his own roads, the Pilgrim's Way, directly through the center of Greenpath, but still under the pretenses that if any wanderers strayed from the path, they would be subjected to the laws and treatment of the Mosskin tribe, or the Rule of Un. A little theory here, the plant life in the Fungal Wastes area began to die off, and we were left with, well, a fungal waste, where fungus grew out of the dead remains of vegetation. At around this time as well, the Pale King stole even more from Un. The entire area that is known as the Queen's Garden were once an important part of the Greenpath, and the Pale King annexed this territory, which would change these bugs' lifestyles a bit, but not too much, as many Mosskins still live there, and the area doesn't look too much different from where it was in Greenpath. This immense loss of territory could be the reason for Un's downfall, as maybe her health was correlated with that of the vegetation in these areas. Now, though, the bugs of the formerly great Mosskin civilization are deep in dream, influenced by the light of the Radiance and doing her bidding, with their brains still believing they are at their former tasks of helping Un. The Radiance now sustains the life in Greenpath and allows the vegetation to flourish, and these bugs see her as similar to Un, as the Radiance is allowing them to live on similar to what Un used to do, and they confuse Un's call with this strange light. Anyways, that is a good story of the Mosskin civilization, once great, now fallen into disarray and in shambles. Some stuff we don't know as of now, but with Silksong upcoming, there's a possibility we could learn more, though it is unlikely. So, maybe in the future there'll be a part 2, going more in depth about this deal with the Pale King, and discussing what this road and law and call of Un really is. They sound very fancy, so. If you have any Hollow Knight theories, but especially about the Greenkin and or Un, make sure to put them down in the comments. I'm Ravenbane, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Please consider subscribing so you can stay tuned for more Hollow Knight content. Alright everybody, have a nice day.